So let's take you back there now with the questions that are quite clear.
The extension of the expansion of the BRICS club. Do you trust some of those countries who have just joined the BRICS club? Do you think that some of them won't behave or act as molds of the colonial masters or even of the West?
Thank you very much, President.
Thanks very much. That met and said they are forming a coalition, and then you say there are 7 parties. Some of those parties, I was seeing them for the first time. I've been in the space for some time now, and I will know some of these parties. So I really don't know if there are parties like that. The IFP is already having problems about that, where certain leaders of the IFP distance themselves from that coalition. Then you remain with the DA and Action SA. And the DA and Action SA is Helen Zille and Mampela Rampela kiss. That's what they did. They made them kiss each other and then killed Mampela Rampel. And that's the same direction Mashaba is taking. You listen to Mashaba speaking, you'll think it's a man who has lost his mind. He doesn't even have a sense of what is really transpiring around him because he speaks against his own conscience. So those are Oppenheimer parties. Why must we say there is a measure between DA and Asian SA? Because they are Oppenheimer parties. The DA is given money by that lady of the Oppenheimer. Yeah. I'm forgetting her name. Mary or something. And then the male one gives the Action SA. So they all balance them like this. And that's what you have. There is no any coalition of anything. It's the Oppenheimers playing with the minds of our people. And we must not allow that. It must be exposed for what it is. It's a kiss between DA, Steenhuisen, and Herman Mashaba. They are kissing each other. The same way Helen Zille kissed Mampela Rampela. And then Mampela Rampela died from that poisonous kiss. With poisoned thin lips of Helen. Who said we don't have a problem really? We never said we're forming a party to work with anyone. Once you form a party, you are on your own. Because we could have joined the DA. We could have joined the IFP or anything of that sort. To choose to form a party is because you looked around and do not find anything that represents what you stand for, and therefore chose to take your own path. This is a path chosen by us. It's not chosen by the coalition of the DA. It's not chosen by the ANC. We chose this. We chose to be on our own. That's why we are not called EFF Plus or EFF Edition. We're not anything of that sort. We're independent. We shall stand elections as an independent organization. We will win elections as an independent organization. We will lose elections as an independent organization and accept the outcome with honor and acceptance that says to our people, we understand your message and will do better next time. We have no problem at all. Pala Pala report, really, just one sentence. I don't know why there is Koleka, when they say public protector's office, they also mention Koleka Galeka. But when you talk about the Reserve Bank, you don't mention Lesetja Kganyapa. Everybody is consistent in saying Reserve Bank, but Lesetja is not being mentioned. It's Lesitja who's created this mess, who has converted the Reserve Bank into a protection of one man. Is Galeka because it's a woman? Her name can be called with loose like that. You can call an institution and even call a name. There's no problem there. But this side, it's a male. And because there is a male who's leading the Reserve Bank, we can't call his name. The Reserve Bank report that was advocated for by Lesitja Khanyao, it's a fallacy, and its intention is to undermine that institution and protect one individual. Lesitja Khanyao says, there is no formal transaction. What is formal? Because Ntabanyoni produced a receipt. There is a receipt that there was a transaction. The president himself said it, that there was a transaction. You, journalists, went to interview a man who was wearing Gucci and all of that in Dubai, who said, I came to buy the buffaloes. 3. Lesitja Khanyao just decide in one day to destroy all of his good legacy in defense of one man. In defense of one man. They say there was no formal transaction. And then Kolega this side says, no, there was a formal transaction and all of that, everything is above board. Then the Reserve Bank says, no, these people are tax compliant, there is no problem, everything has been accounted for. What formality must we look for again? So Lesitja destroyed the image of that institution. Lesitja destroyed his legacy. Lesitja destroyed everything he stood for. It is Lesitja who is at the center of destroying the good image of the Reserve Bank. And he must be called by his name. Why are you scared of Lesitja? What is so special about Lesitja? It's him. For career opportunism, because he hopes to be a finance minister one day. He hopes to travel the same path that Tito Mboweni traveled. He compromises the image, the good standing of the Reserve Bank. His name, Lesitja Khanyao, must go into history as a man who destroyed one of the good institutions of our country. And Reserve Bank. Lesitja's name is not being called. I've been observing this. That when it comes to the public protector, Koleka's name is called. When it comes to SARS, SARS has cleared. That Kisveter's name is not being called. When it comes to the Reserve Bank, Lesitja's name is not being called. Males are being treated differently from females-led institutions. We are not going to be part of that patriarchal arrangement. Count us out of that. My brother, the future in the EFF is not a position. Why, when you're being removed from a position, you say, I just said in the statement, they remain members of the EFF and continue to contribute. That's your future. That's my future. The future is not position. So we remove people from positions. You say, do they have future? What are you saying? We did not expel them. They are members of the EFF. In the EFF, we are not going to allow opportunism of the highest order. So please, you can be guaranteed, if they want to remain in the EFF, they are not. That's why we didn't take them to DC. The DC may well decide not to find them guilty. The DC might find them guilty and expel them or suspend them. And that will destroy their future in the EFF. In the protection of their future, we said, let's take a political decision, which is allowed by the constitution of the EFF, to recall. Because those positions they hold are the EFF positions. You are mandated by the EFF. At any time, the EFF can recall you, including me. So I don't understand what is this future. If the future is positions, then I'm not interested in that. I'm not interested. Well, and removing them from positions and having them remain in the organization is part of the rehabilitation. It's part of saying to them, you still need to learn more and have an appreciation. Maybe we prematurely promoted you into position of responsibility and you are not ready. Let's prepare you and then we'll consider you going forward. How can a man or a woman who couldn't get one bus disrupt my election campaign? One. How can that person disrupt the election campaign? He has demonstrated he's got no capacity to do anything. We are removing SG 210 public representatives. And we do so unashamedly. Out of 1,200. 1,200 public representatives, we're removing 210. We remain with 990 good members of the EFF, the servant of the people, who are ready to respond to the call at any time. Don't tell me about lazy deadwoods. I have no time for deadwoods. I have no time for staff riders who have no capacity. Whether they've been with us for too long, it means nothing if you can't perform the simplest task. You know, one of you is very sympathetic that maybe the MPs, we know them, we may not know the others. There is an MP who until this morning was still lying that she paid for a bus. The SG went and said, okay, let me sit down and understand this. Went through with her, only to find that this MP submitted a quotation and thought that we're fools. Will confuse the quotation for an invoice. And the quotation is dated 25 July. You can see this MP has never done anything for 5 months. On the eve of the rally, realizes, hey, there's a problem coming here. She then gets a quotation. And then today, this morning, she gives us a quotation as a proof of payment. You want to serve with such people. These are the people who want to serve with. Better few, but better. Not fraud. Fraud. Until this morning, a fraud was still trying to defraud the organization. And not coming clean and open and apologize and say, no, we'll do what the organization is asking us to do. There's no DA which is going to dissolve any Johannesburg here. There's no DA that will dissolve. If Stonehaven's life is dissolved, he must not think that that's going to happen in Johannesburg. It's not going to happen, that one. Johannesburg is stable. Johannesburg has got a mayor, and the MMCs are up to task. A lot of those MMCs are up to task. They are trying their level best with limited resources and difficulties that we're confronted with in Johannesburg. You know, you comrades of the media, you're not covering the job of those comrades. You're not showing what those comrades are doing good. All of a sudden, there's a media blackout on MMCs. Bumpo palatse ne re ba tsiba le ba parade aparo ka re ke Queen Elizabeth anana or mogiri beauty contest le mo covered her. Mara, our comrades are not being covered because they are living amongst our people. Look at the MMC of Public Safety and what it's doing in Johannesburg. And tell me if there's anyone in the history of that department who can ever match that MMC. Look at what our MMC of Health is doing in Johannesburg and compare. Some of you, for sure, you even know for the first time that there's actually MMC of Health in Johannesburg through our MMC. But that is not being covered by the media because it's a good governance of the EFF. Now the DA says we can't work with the EFF. The ANC says we can't work with the EFF and all of that. No one is asking them a question. Where did the EFF do wrong? Where? We are now in government. Where did the EFF do wrong? Show us. Snooki Sigalala says the EFF is not a law-abiding organization. You don't ask him a question, why are they still a registered political party if they are not a law-abiding organization? Because law-abiding means compliance to the Constitution. If you don't comply with the Constitution, you will not be registered as a political party. You take that as a gospel truth and walk away. Kandi's got personal reasons behind what he's saying. Why? The MMC of Finance in Ikuruleni is engaged in Siatrima, a program where they switch off illegal connection by big business and industries in Ikuruleni. And then to enhance revenue for that municipality, close for those businesses that are not paying their electricity bills. Where are you to cover that? But if it was a white mayor, that one of Tswana, what is his name? Brink. If it was Brink, Timing, you are going to be following him because he's a white man. A black government that is delivering to its people. Look at waste collection in Ikuruleni has improved to a point where the DA complained that when we're in government, we're sabotaged, the trucks were not unleashed. Look, now their trucks are unleashed into communities to go and deal with waste management. The potholes in Mogale City are being patched. You went to cover Cyril Ramaphosa patching a gravel road. It's patching a pothole. But here is an MMC in Mogale City who's patching real potholes and ensuring that there is rehabilitation of the roads in Mogale. No, that is not being covered. The EFF can't be trusted. What did they do? The only thing they are scared of, both the ANC and the DA, is that the EFF will do what they said they will do if you give them an opportunity. Go and check us. We are open for scrutiny. Go and check us everywhere. Everywhere. Don't only check us. Report our work. Report the good we are doing for our people. Report it. In eThekwini, we called the ANC to consider and accept the insourcing of security guard and the cleaners. Now, it's an EFF policy. We are navigating it even when we don't have the majority, to make sure that it becomes the resolution of councils. What is the problem with the EFF? The problem with the EFF is that it will do what it said it will do. And that's why the ANC in Ikuruleni was caught screaming and kicking, saying to the ANC leadership, let's get out of this relationship. We don't want this. The ANC asked why. They said they are suffocating us. They are leading a debate and implementation of community development and service delivery. In Ikuruleni, there is no one who can, that person who complains like that is a spoiled brat. There's no one who can say, I reported a sewer blockage and it is now more than 24 hours without a resolution. When a sewer blockage gets reported that there is a sewer running, the sewer is blocked and all of that, we unleash the municipal workers. If the municipal workers are reluctant to go, branches and leaders of the EFF go themselves to go and unblock that sewer. We do it ourselves, without government. We don't say, no, the procedure, we put in the claim. But sewer musikin toilet chipila kota kota. Let's go and do it. The deputy chairperson of the EFF in Gauteng is the best at leading that. He was now in Atteridgeville. No one has covered that. You won't cover it. You are waiting for him to do wrong. All of that good he's doing, you will never talk about it. Comrades, you know, any formation that creates a multipolar society in which the imperialist forces are isolated, as an anti-imperialist movement, we welcome that. Every country that participates in any multilateral bodies always look after its interest. They first look after their interest before they can look after the interest of other members. So we're not naive about the relationship of these other countries with America and the NATO war alliance. We are quite aware. But we are confident that the leadership, which is at the center of BRICS, particularly China and Russia, and to a particular extent, Brazil, we know that they will not allow the nonsense to happen, as it were, at that level. So that's where our confidence comes from. So, and that's why the argument in the EFF is that, in our statement, is that, guys, the leaders of Africa, let's use our participation in BRICS, let's use our participation to ensure that there is an infrastructural development in Africa, not only in South Africa. Let's use this to connect the continent. Let's use this for more investment in the continent so that by the time the imperialist forces open their eyes, we are a fully developed continent. Because South Africa developed alone in this continent will not be helpful. The last point, former TG, is that the question is, you got 10%. How are you going to get 50%? Chamisa formed CCC. Now, for the first time it contests elections. Now, it got 44%. I hope that answers your question. It doesn't have to be like, because in the previous election you got 10, you can't get 50. Chamisa CCC in the previous elections got 0. In these elections got 44. So we are even better than Chamisa's CCC. We regret 10. Renyaga fella foot. Then we're done. We're not starting at 0 like Chamisa did with CCC. We're starting at 10. And we're going forward. We are the only organization that has never lost votes since 2014. Only organization that is not going to lose votes even now. Thanks.